Hello.
Hello, how are you?
Good. How are you?
Um, Really great to be here in this early November time frame.
Yes.
It's quite chilly today, so I'm actually all rugged up. I can't believe
Yep.
we're
I've got
rugged
my
up in
winter
November.
cardigan back on. It was the
Yeah.
other day the coldest November day in Sydney. So we had a bit of a cold snap. It was snowing in the Alpine regions.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's just been interesting how all that has evolved through.
And what's going on with our
Yes.
planet, and
Yeah,
it's all
exactly.
connected, isn't
Exactly.
it? Like
Yes.
her
But
ascension, our
it's
ascension.
interesting. Well, it's interesting times, and we're right in that eclipse portal as
Yeah.
well. So we're between the two eclipses as we're recording it. And then we head into the 11:11 portal next week as well. And what the keepers and the council of light have said, that we're in a greater portal of transformation,
Okay.
which they said was, I think it was end of October that we started that, and the same beginning of December that ends.
Max, come on, buddy.
Hello, Maxie. um, yeah, so it's a lot of big energy coming up. It's, that time to shed, to release, to go deep into the shadow. And we're in Scorpio season, and we had the solar eclipse in Scorpio last week.
Yeah.
So yeah, that shadow healing and bringing things up to the surface, to the light, to be cleared, to be released, to be healed. Yeah, there's a lot of that going on. So I know I've been feeling tired.
Yeah, and it's sort of I am a Scorpio, and I've got quite
Yes.
a
Oh,
bunch of
yes.
planets up in that 11th house with my Scorpio signs, and
Wow.
so I can honestly say that Scorpio new moon
Yep.
certainly brought in some challenges and some
Yes.
different energy, and
Yes.
not just for myself, I'm noticing it all around. So
Yes. Yep.
it's interesting that and the audience question came in, and I thought, well, that's kind of in alignment with what I've been witnessing around us. And
Yes.
so like yesterday, I've said, called in all the guides and said, all right, what are we calling this week? And just personal power came straight up. So I went,
Yes.
so this channeling's based around the energy of personal power.
Yes.
And our audience question is it's like a section of that. So be really interesting to see what the keepers have got to say.
It's really interesting, this theme, the solar plexus in the past few channelings. It's like allowing us to go deeper and explore it from different avenues and different sides around what are the themes of the solar plexus, which it can be
Yep.
confidence, it can certainly be personal power. Last time we looked at sovereignty.
Yeah.
Time before it was sanctity of the body. And while that was also expression, the solar plexus does connecting to the throat, because our voice is our power. So I just find it really interesting that we're exploring all these themes around related to the solar plexus. So obviously there's more for us to unpack and move through.
Well, it's just like every chakra really is multifaceted, isn't it?
Absolutely. Yes. Yes. I mean, each chakra connects to another, to all the others. So it's like how it plays out is going to be different for everyone. And yet there's going to be some of those universal themes.
And I think with our guests, we have Metatron joining us today,
Yes.
and
Yes.
Lady Nada. And
yes.
I just think, like with Lady Nada too, to me, she's sort of, to me, I'm connecting to that heart space and the personal power, which are like those two chakras right next to each other.
Yes.
So it's almost like, okay, we're exploring that personal power, but is it, and we're moving into the heart chakra next. So it'll be interesting to see what comes through for December.
Well, that's interesting, because I already had the sense there was going to be some discussion between the relationship between the solar plexus and the heart chakra. So you're picking up on the same thing.
Yeah. Funny that, my sister.
Yes. And I noticed you got the pink roses.
Yes.
Which are Lady Nada's symbol. So, which is beautiful.
Yeah.
Yeah. And Archangel Metatron, he's such a powerful archangel, and he's connected to the diamond ray of light. And so connected to the whole spectrum of colors, and you got that whole rainbow of colors behind you.
Well, it's a funny thing that, like, this morning I was in the shower, because I do my shower preparation where I cleanse the body as part of my process. And I got out of the shower and I went, okay, because I'd invited all the guides through, and then I said, all right, Metatron, what color represents you? Because I was thinking about getting dressed. What color represents you? And I heard all the colors, and I went, okay, the rainbow. So I thought, I know where I'm sitting today. I'll have to get this out.
Yes.
And then to find out he's connected to the diamond ray, which is
all the colors.
I love it. Funny. Okay.
I love how that comes through. But yeah, he is often depicted, regardless of whether the chakra system that you're working with. So whether it's the Sephir on the tree of life, he is depicted as at the top of the tree of life, and in that case, working into the crown. And then Archangel Sandalphon as the twin energy into the base at the bottom of the tree of life, and they bring that twin energy through. But when we're working through, let's say, the 12th chakra system, then he's also depicted at the top. We're into the stellar gateway chakra. So it's the highest chakra before we connect into our higher self with that diamond ray of light. And Archangel Sandalphon still at the bottom into the earth star. So bringing through the golden ray of light and anchoring that into the earth. So I find it interesting that no matter which chakra system you're working with, that there's those consistencies with Archangel Metatron. So, and I haven't channeled him before, so that'll be very interesting to see what comes through. And I sense he'll be coming first after the keepers, and then Lady Nada. I get that too. Yeah. And Lady Nada I haven't channeled either. And while I've done lots of energy work with Archangel Metatron, Lady Nada not so much. And I think it was when we were talking to Mary Magdalene that she described herself as being a harmony within the broader symphony of Lady Nada's energy. So Lady Nada being the ascended version of Mary Magdalene, or Mary Magdalene representing just one aspect. Of Lady Nada, and the lifetime that she had with Yeshua and the work that she has done around that, and that the reason why she's still very active as Mary Magdalene is because her work is not yet done. A lot of her work and her teachings were suppressed these past 2,000 years, and now she has really risen in our consciousness so that all those teachings can be returned. But Lady Nada brings through that broader energy. And, she's been a high priestess from the times of Atlantis. That's when her name as Lady Nada kind of has come through. But she's also connected to the planetary council of light. So she's certainly a powerful and loving being.
So just for clarity for a listener than that, you talked about the planetary council of light.
Yes.
And that's governing over the whole of Earth.
Yes.
Whereas we all have then there's the different councils of light, and we each have our own councils.
We each have our own. Yes.
Yeah. So there's all those different layers of councils as well. So
So we each have our own, and depending on what our vibrational resonance is, what we are needing, what we are working on in each lifetime, it's not about, worthiness or anything like that. It's more about just what support are you needing for that lifetime, and your personal council lights, what supports you to make choices around your soul planning, so before you're even born. Yep. And may help you on the other side to do that life review. They're not the ones judging you. We're the ones judging ourselves. And judging is probably too harsh a term. We're the ones reviewing, how well did we go in our soul lessons? How well did we treat other people? And then what are the lessons that we're going to take forward into a subsequent lifetime? Is there an energy imbalance? And if so, that's what karma is. So that's something to then be worked out and put within our divine blueprint and a soul plan. And that's overseen by the Council of Light, our personal one, but it may also go up to the Planetary Council of Light, which has a karmic board within it. So certain members of that Planetary Council of Light sit on that karmic board. And so some may call them as lords of karma, but regardless whether you think of them as a karmic board or the lords of karma, then they oversee that kind of energy balance or that karmic balance in how we move through that. So there's a distinction between our personal one and the planetary one. There's definitely a crossover though, and when I say I'm channeling the Council of Light, I am channeling my Council of Light. But when I'm doing energy work, I call on the Councils of Light, because there's mine, there's the person's. I'm also calling on the planetary one. So just calling in whoever's relevant for that session.
For that highest purpose for.
Yes. Yeah.
So Lady Nada is not essentially a part of your personal one. She's part of that planetary one.
Yes.
Yeah.
So for me personally, I still have a really strong affinity with Mary Magdalene, and she is more a personal guide for me.
Same for me, yeah.
And Mary Magdalene is part of ARIA, that divine collective that supports me. And while she's not on my Council of Light, she works with me very personally through whether it's the healing work or bringing through some of those teachings from before, building a singing community, whatever it may be, there's definite work that I'm still doing with her. So I'm not so personally connected to the Lady Nada energy, but she occasionally comes through energy sessions depending on what people are needing and how they're connected. Because if they're connected to Lady Nada, then she's going to definitely come through. Yes.
Well, that's a lovely introduction to them all. Do you think it's time we brought the keepers into the conversation?
Definitely time.
Or they're sitting there waiting patiently.
They're always patient, aren't they?
It's not funny they're sitting, but anyway.
Yes. So I can feel them now, and they're already starting to come through. So I'll call them in. I should say allow them in, because they've been waiting. We indeed wait patiently, although for us, time is not time as you experience it. So it is not something that we actually even need patience for. So, but you can, of course, deem it as waiting patiently, because you only have your human perspective to operate from within that framework.
That's right. That's why when I chuckled and said you're sitting waiting patiently.
Yes.
But anyway, welcome.
Welcome to you and to all of you in this eternal moment of now.
Yes, beautiful. Thank you. Well, I suppose you would have heard, as I always say, but this week the energy of personal power has really been playing a big part. It's the name that dropped in. It's been personally affecting me and decisions I'm having to make. And pretty well most people that I'm talking with, whether doesn't matter what part of the community I'm out in. There seems to be a lot of challenges at the moment. I don't know whether that's relating to the fact that it's Scorpio season and eclipse season, or just the simple fact of it's just another part of our ascension processes that are going on now. But
all of the above.
It's all intertwined.
Yes. So what we're going to do, because there will be energy work done in this session, we're going to call in the higher selves of all who come to this session, this channeling, this episode, and the eternal moment of now. And we're going to create a sacred vessel and container for this energy to flow through, so that all who come to it receive what they need to receive in their best and highest good. And of course, dear ones, Vicky and Kerry, we place you within that at the center, as that then radiates out to all who will receive this channeling, this energy. And let us drop you into your heart space. For yes, the heart, of course, is the emperor, is the portal to all, to the divine, to love, to the heavens and to the earth, and bringing through that energy in a holy, sacred union. And so now we may say that we are ready, or you are ready, to begin and move into this session. And we go immediately into matters of the solar plexus, yes. And let us open indeed the energy channel between the heart and the solar plexus, because many of the issues that you see and perceive and experience upon the earth is people who have, you see the two extremes, those with heart wide open and solar plexus diminished, interfacing with those who have an exaggerated overactive solar plexus with heart closed and diminished. Many of you, to use your colloquial terms, would call you the first group, the empaths, the second group, the narcissists. We do not like those labels, for you are so much more than any of these labels. And what this would denote, if you were to use these labels, is that you are fixed in that grouping. We wish you to expand through that grouping, so that while you may be empathic, in other words, full of empathy and feeling the emotions of others, you can also create and claim your energetic sovereignty through your own personal power. And this is what this channeling will be about.
I love how we all tune in together, and it's just that another example of that connection that we all have, and sometimes we dismiss those little moments of clarity we get. So it's lovely that Vicky and I have picked up on exactly what you've just described now. So that's wonderful. So thank you. And very, very welcoming to know that we're doing, I'm pretty sure there's energy work every time we gather.
Oh, yes.
But I just would like to take a moment and just say, if people aren't sure about how to connect with their heart, just simply, for me, I just imagine that I'm breathing in and out through my heart in that lovely, quiet space, relaxed space. So that's just a simple way for me to connect, and it might be helpful for someone that's listening.
A lovely way. What we will also expand on, one way is to even just to touch your heart. It helps activate. And let us connect with the rose energy, because that is coming through with Lady Nada, but it is also ever present already. And you may see your heart like a rose. And it's either closely tight like the bud, or it has blossomed out and opened out to receive and radiate all the energy, the heart energy that you desire. And so you may see that as a pink rose in this instance, and then receive the beautiful pink ray of light that opens into the inner chamber of the heart and connects you into the ray of love and of compassion.
Yeah, beautiful. And I've got my roses on, and I've got my rainbow for Metatron. So
yes, we are ready.
We are ready. So would you like me to just talk about where this personal power came from? I have an audience question.
Yes.
I could start with that, or
what we will do is first we'll expand upon what we have said is the energetic theme, and then we move into the question, and then there may be some clarifying questions that you ask. And from there, you'll find that the time will go very quickly, and then it'll be time for Archangel Metatron to step through.
Wonderful.
So, as we have said, when it comes to looking at the solar plexus in the relation to the heart chakra, now, for those of you who have open hearts, who are loving and compassionate, this is not something that we are saying that you should not have or be doing. What is necessary for the experience of being human is that it is also necessary to have personal boundaries. And that includes energetic boundaries. And we have spoken about energetic boundaries before. And to be able to allow a beautiful synchronicity and synergy between the solar plexus and the heart. Now, if you understand, the solar plexus is a beautiful yellow orb of light. And if it is healthy, it is a bright light connected to the energy of the sun. And it is the seed of your personal power, your confidence, and how you relate to the self. So anything that diminishes the self diminishes the energy of the solar plexus. So things like shame, in other words, stories about yourself that are negative, that are unloving, any way that you see yourself as less than or deficient in any way, this can show up in your solar plexus because this relates to the self. And so shame sits within the solar plexus. And yet notice that these stories are where you are unloving towards yourself, that are born out of experiences that were unloving towards you. So anytime you have had experiences that have been unloving can then impact the solar plexus. The return to love includes a return to self-love so that you can let go of these old stories and these old experiences that are unloving. So there's a necessary flow of energy between the solar plexus and the heart. And when you can allow this beautiful free flow energy between the solar plexus and the heart, as we said, there's a perfect balance and harmony between them, within you and between you and another. Now, what is interesting when we're talking about interpersonal boundaries and energetic boundaries is that here you are defined by your body and the skin as where you end, and where another begins in their bodies, so that you are separated. Now, you are experiencing yourself as you, as the creator experiences itself as you. The creator is experiencing itself as you and is experiencing itself as everybody else on this planet. So they are all facets of you, all part of the one. So there's the illusion of separation, which is necessary for you to have in this lifetime, dear ones, so that you can experience yourself as Kerry, as Vicky, or as insert your name there. Now, while there is that illusion of separation, you are necessarily needing the separate self, that identity that you have through your name, for example. So you may think of your separate self as your ego. Now, all of a sudden, we have said the word ego, people think, oh, that's bad. We need to get rid of the ego. No, you do not, dear ones. The ego helps define the edges of you. Now, the ego can, of course, have a lower consciousness. And that's usually what people are referring to when they say ego.
Yeah.
It's the lower consciousness. So we're going to use the term separate self. It is the separate self that is needing the boundaries between you and the other. Even though you're all connected, you're all one, part of the one energy. What connects you is the energy of love, for that is what the creator is. The creator is love and is light flowing between you. Yet here you are in the physical experience, forgetting who you are, in a reality of duality, so that love and all that is not love also exists. So what flows between you and another is now not just love. It is all those unloving experiences. This is where those interpersonal and energetic boundaries are necessary. This is where the separate self is necessary. If you have too much separate self, what some would call ego, and not enough love and connection, you then may become selfish.
Yeah.
Self-centered. Not connected. Not in unity with all that is. With all that is. When there is not enough separate self, what does that do? It makes you so completely open to the energies of everyone and everything else. You're like a sponge.
Yeah.
Sponges get dirty, dear ones, as you've noticed when you clean your homes. You may clean your home, but then what is the state of the sponge? So this is where your energy practices are in terms of cleaning your energy. And then to use that analogy, it's like cleaning your sponge. But is it necessary for you to go through all that energetically in the first place? We say, not so much. It is not to say that you have not volunteered, dear ones, on some level to pick up energy, to transmute it.
Yes. Yep.
And you will know it with people that you have soul agreements with. But, dear ones, to allow yourselves to be so completely open that you become like the dirty sponge, cleaning everything and every surface, then you are doing yourselves a great disservice. So what we would say is, it's like creating a less porous sponge. Now, less porous, in other words, there are fewer holes. It's like tightening up a sieve. So you can have a sieve that has great big openings between the mesh, if you can think of a sieve, and a sieve that has much finer netting that allows energy or water still to flow through, but catches all the debris. Similarly, you may have a sieve or what you would call an energy matrix around you. And golden light is a beautiful way to connect with that sieve, that energy matrix that is creating a boundary that allows love in and light in, but allows everything else to stay out of you and your energy field. Now, the white light, and we say this because this will come up later with Archangel Metatron, the white light is wonderful for clearing that energy, like cleansing that sponge.
Okay.
The golden light for creating that energetic barrier, like that mesh or that sieve, in not allowing the debris to come through. So notice that this still allows love to flow through. It is not about stopping your connection with other people. That's not what we are saying at all.
Yeah.
We are about supporting your connections of love to flow through while limiting anything that is unloving to flow through.
I had a practice. I worked in it many years ago, was in a doctor's surgery. And so I had everything from people that were suffering from addiction,
yes,
from serious illnesses,
yes,
to everyday coughs and colds. Yeah, I had the whole spectrum living in the outback coming in for support at the doctor's surgery. And it was knocking me around, and I was only new into my awakening and wasn't aware of how much energy was coming from them and I was taking on.
Yes.
And I worked it out after being ill for months and headaches and all that sort of thing. Mm-hmm. And I actually started a practice because rose quartz is the main crystal I would work with, and I would put like a cylinder around me, send it down into Lady Gaia and then up into the heavens, and would just say only love gets through. So then I could still be there and be supportive for the clients or the patients as they came in. But I felt so much better after doing that. And then I'd remember to do it every day, come in, put my cylinder up, beautiful rose quartz. I'd send ripple energy out from that so that it went across everyone that came in. Yes. But so it's I'm just thinking now I could still probably still use that practice, but I might be bringing some white and golden rays of light down into that cylinder as well.
Yes, you can use all of those colors. The pink ray doing in that way just is about spreading the love and again about wanting only love to come through. The gold is just more effective in keeping out the debris because it is connected to the physical. The gold ray of light, of course, is Christ consciousness, but it's about anchoring that into the physical. It physicalizes that Christ consciousness. It connects it into the earth. And as you understand Archangel Sandalphon's energy and how he's connected to that ray of light, he's about bringing that into the earth. And this is coming up as a twinned energy with Archangel Metatron. You get the diamond ray with the golden ray of light as a twinned energy, natural complements to each other. So any practice that you have that allows you to delineate between where you end and someone else begins is wonderful for creating those energetic boundaries. So these are energy practices that can support you. Now, of course, it is also necessary to look at those interpersonal boundaries. And now this is going to be something that's going to be different for everyone else. And while boundaries have come up quite strongly in your collective consciousness at this time, people still have a inconsistent understanding of what boundaries are. For some people, they will use boundaries as walls against others. This is not what we are speaking of. This is not to create walls between you. Now, that is not to say that in some circumstances that creating a no contact relationship with that person is necessary. And that may be necessary, but when you understand that you are still all brothers and sisters in love and in light with each other, then it is knowing that you are still connected with through love. So it is not about cutting them out from your life and then leaving them out in the cold, so to speak. It is about you can still send love to them or to all people on the planet, even while you keep their collective energies at bay. Now, let us preface that in saying collective energies are, as the term denotes, is a big collective energy. It is impossible to be disconnected from that collective energy because you are part of it. But it is about allowing you to be not as rocked by the collective energy coming through, connected to it, aware of it, certainly, but to be flawed by it, that's not going to serve you or anyone.
I think that comes back to being those lighthouses as well. Like we're connected to the collective for a very good reason.
Yes.
Well, I shouldn't even say reason, it's not even the right term, but we are part of that. It just is.
You are connected to all. You are part of all. There is no separation in that sense. It is not about having to create the connection. The connection is there. It is there. You cannot disconnect from that. You can pinch off your connection.
Yeah. And I think that's great conversation that we're having today in regards to personal power, because I think when we do find that personal power, even though power is an aggressive type word, it's kind of the best one we can use for today. Standing in our personal power and finding that love within ourselves can then tap us back into sending that love into the collective.
Let us define power. We are not calling personal power the type of human power you often see, which is power over others. That is not what we call power. That is control. And manipulation. And it's an unloving energy. Where we connect with your personal power that is aligned with love. Let us say there's a couple of things. This is how power connects into the heart. For divine power is love, and it is the greatest power in the universe. So when you align your personal power with your divine power, here is you in alignment with the greatest power and force in the universe, allowing that to flow through you. Yes. Now, when you connect with another, what are you going to do? You're going to radiate this energy outward, not to bowl them over, not to dominate or control them, but to share and spread the love and the light that you are. It lifts them up. It rises them up so they can access their own power. That power is within them, no matter how diminished they feel in their personal power. Now, this is very both interesting and pertinent to note, because where they have been, or anyone has been, disempowered, it is because of the abuse of power, or what we will call control and manipulation and oppression. And so therefore your personal power in effect is diminished, because your solar plexus is diminished. But if we were to heal that and return the light to your solar plexus, your personal power returns. In other words, they could not take your power away. The diminishment is temporary. So you don't have to give your power to another person. And this is something that's going to come up in the questions and answers. You're not giving your power to another so that they can feel powerful. You stand in your power and you radiate your power, even as you either are dealing with those who would oppress, control, and manipulate you, or lift up the others who are needing upliftment. So there is an energy exchange there, certainly, but we are wishing you to return to an energy exchange of love. This is where you're moving into the consciousness of love, dear ones, and you have been at the effect of all the unloving experiences that have ever occurred upon the planet. This is what the planet, what Gaia, what each of you is bringing up to the surface, and why you may feel so uncomfortable and so difficult. You are releasing all the barriers to love within yourselves and within each other, and between each other, and within the collective and Gaia herself. So now as you move into the consciousness of love, we wish you to be mindful that all exchanges, energy exchanges with another, are loving ones.
Yeah.
And again, we'll have to define what loving is. Because it is not loving to allow yourself to be subjected to abuse. We have said this before. It is not even loving to the abuser to allow the abuse to continue. For how would they learn to be able to move into a different energy? For they too have been victims of unloving experiences. And yes, are they perpetuating those unloving experiences? Absolutely. So is it loving to allow them to continue to be unloving towards others? No. The way you manage that will depend on the circumstances, personal safety, and how you are able to manage your personal power. Now, let us say in this instance, your human levels of power may interface with this. What kind of bodies do you inhabit? Are they female or transgendered? Are they straight or have any other sexuality? Are they black or brown bodies? Are they abled bodies or not? Are they young bodies, as in children or older? All of this will influence not only how you perceive your power, but your experiences of power, either positively or negatively. So much of what is in terms of connecting into your personal power is going to be shaped, influenced by your experiences of the world through your personal individual bodies. Now, there's much that we could speak about that. What we will say is, if you are a black or brown person, particularly female or transgendered, dealing with a straight, cisgendered, white man, in your human consciousness, there's a differential of power. So we're going to differentiate with that human power compared to your personal power. Now, there's a crossover, certainly, but we want to differentiate this for this reason. Because if we do not differentiate this, we would be condemning anyone who is not a straight cisgendered white man to feeling that they have less power than anybody else, and therefore are unable to change their circumstances. While you are starting from a different place, dear ones, we acknowledge that. You are starting from a different place. Can you still, and let's say for specific reasons that you chose before coming to this planet, let us say that your journey to reclaim your personal power will therefore be very individual to you. And the support you may need will also be therefore very individual to you. And this is where you must understand that there is needing a collective response to power as well as an individual one. Otherwise, those who are starting from a different place, to say the straight cisgendered white man, it will always have that unfair disadvantage. So while we're not necessarily evening out the circumstances, you're not here to be all the same. You're here to experience the differences. We wish to say to you, to be clear, that while we are talking to each of you as individuals, that collectively there is occurring an uprising in awareness and understanding of that oppression of power. And people are doing this by claiming their personal power. Does this mean that there are no consequences for them? Unfortunately, not. You can see that, for example, in what is happening with Iran. We spoke about that in the previous session, and that was a big theme that came through in speaking about sovereignty. They are claiming their personal power, but for many of them, they are losing their lives in doing so, because the oppressors have not yet been uprooted. So this is why there is work within the collective, and many of you have volunteered to do work on a collective level. While this is true and it is necessary, we are also going to focus on the interpersonal, so that you can understand how you relate to others in your personal world and in your personal relationships, which can then feed in very well into your question.
And even when you were talking about like managing your personal power and like, I find that a lot of people that probably are just stepping into starting to look at themselves and doing their own personal inner journey, not even aware of the walls that they've put in place energetically. They're there through their life circumstances. And I'm finding at the moment the energy is really sort of showing, reflecting those walls back to them to be seen dismantled or changed the energy of those walls?
There is certainly much dismantling occurring over systems that oppress. So there is much work still to be done in this arena, and is still occurring. And do not think of it only as it only happening over there in Iran or Afghanistan or anywhere else where there is oppression. There's oppression in every country on this earth.
Yeah.
And how you'll interface it will be different according to what bodies you're in and what experiences you have experienced.
Yeah, most definitely. I'm seeing it all around me at the moment.
Yes.
On different levels.
Yes.
Different levels of severity is what I'm sort of pointing at there as well.
So let us present the bigger picture to you all, so it doesn't feel like this is a heavy topic.
Yeah.
The bigger picture is when each of you claim your personal power, you claim it in the name of love. And when you claim it in the name of love, you anchor in and bring through more love upon this planet and more love within yourself. So therefore, you are supporting the movement, the broader movement, the collective movement into the consciousness of love. You're supporting Gaia in that energy and in that movement and ascension also, for there is a symbiosis between you. So this is the broader context that as you all awaken, as you bump up against systems and structures and people, that you get to define yourself in those moments. You define yourself through your choices and your responses. Are your responses reactive ones, given past patterns that have been laid into your body and into your psyche through programming, many of them unconscious? Or are you going to be responding from a conscious awareness that you are a child of the divine, holding the light of the creator within you, can be the conduit of love between heaven and earth? You may then respond from a very different state. Now, this takes practice, dear ones. We are not saying that you do this once and it is done forevermore. To create a new pattern, you must walk an unfamiliar pathway. An unsealed, rocky pathway, for it is new and unfamiliar to you. Whereas the old is familiar, smooth, well-worn. Let us say that, and we have been saying this in our messages recently, that the familiar may seem safer, more certain, more definite, and more knowable. And the unfamiliar, the uncertain, is therefore seen as dangerous and fear-provoking. So knowing this, that as you are creating new patterns, that fear may arise within you. It is a normal, natural response given your experiences and your human bodies and how they are made up psychologically, biologically, socially, to respond in this way.
Well, you're bringing tears to my eyes, because that's what I've been struggling with my own personal journey for a while now, but this last month's been particularly harder. And it comes down to, I was wondering which two avenues was I giving my personal power away in my separation agreement with my soon-to-be ex-husband. And we were together nearly 30 years. So it's not like, you know, it's a long time for us to have been together, and we had 2 beautiful daughters, and that the love there's for him is still there for the fact that we have those beautiful children in that life. But coming down to the dollars is where you really find out how solid that relationship is in this moment. And for me, I'm like, was making that decision, like, do I ask for what I think I should be asking for? We're almost over the line. Is that me standing in my personal power by standing up? Or is it me? Should I be standing in my power by going, okay, accept what's on the table now and trust in the universe will keep supporting me and I'll be fine anyway? And it was sort of like that dichotomy of which way do I go that supports my own personal power. And what you've just said to me then sort of, it's hit home and made me realize I know exactly what I need to do. And fear is exactly, now you've named it, fear is what was coming up. Fear in asking for what I think, you know, is my value.
And let us say that for another person, the exact opposite choice would be right for them in claiming their personal power. It is not that one answer is right over another. It is what is right for you at that time.
Yeah.
And from your level of consciousness. So by knowing that this is not a prescription of how you would behave, it is a guidance into an energy that then offers you the pathway for you to take if you so choose.
Yeah. Well, I totally understand the energetics now. I was in the emotional mind, and now I'm seeing the energy as well. So that's sort of giving me more information for me to make that mental decision. So I'm bringing an emotional, energetic to get through the thinking mind.
We can say, let us use that example, that those who have throughout their lifetime had a more compliant, what some would call people-pleasing pattern of energy, that choice of surrendering so that they do not ask for more is a choice that is feeding into that old pattern of giving away their power. Now, there are very valid reasons for why they have that pattern. It's not a judgment on that. So for those people, the reclaiming of the power is standing up for themselves. Then there are others who are more likely to go into a fight energy, and that is their pattern. They feel like they need to fight for everything that is owed them because they feel like they cannot trust what will come to them. And they often spend their energy, or very quick to move into that fight energy. And for them to reclaim their power is to do that surrendering. Because when you are so reactive and there to fight everybody or particular groups of people so consistently in a way that you were it's not necessarily in response to what they are doing, but because of an old pattern of that fight energy, then that is what is needing to be released, that old pattern, and moving into a more compassionate pattern for yourself and understanding that, you know, you are giving your power away by reacting into that old pattern. So it's going to be very individual to all of you.
All of you.
Yeah.
Well, I think we could probably move into our audience question.
Yes.
Because it's a great
definitely related. Yes.
Yeah. So it's all around bullying and harassment energy.
Mm-hmm.
And so the question was, bullying and harassment energy, what's the best approach to dissolve it?
To dissolve it.
And I think I would also say not just dissolve it, but deal with it.
We're going to lay a broader basis and then come into the specifics.
Mm-hmm.
So those who are engaging in a bullying, harassment energy are those who are in that fight energy, as an example. They're going to be more in that fight energy. They're stuck in a pattern where they feel like they need to fight the world to defend themselves, and that attack is their defense. So that is part of it. Then there are also those systems of human power where those who have greater human power abuse that power to bully and harass. Those ones are more related to a lack of love and a sense of aggrandizement of themselves. So too strong solar plexus and separation in the separate self. But we'll tell you how it's actually all related. And so then you have those who are, regardless of their human levels of power, are in that fight energy and therefore attacking as their form of defense against the world. So then you have you as the person or any person interfacing with that energy. So it depends on how you are. You may either be the ones who are, like we presented earlier, called the people pleasers, who are more compliant, those who would say are more in the fawn response. So within the stress response, the fight, the flight, the freeze, the fawn, and the faint. So they're more in the fawn. Now, sometimes this can be the most effective strategy, depending on the circumstances. This is why there won't be one simple solution to it. What will occur in that case where that fawn response is the most effective, they're going to be the most effective negotiators, diplomats in trying to create peace around those who are bullying and harassing others. Now, this is only a step, however. It does not dissolve the bullying and harassing energy. It deals with it, as you say, in that moment. It's helping that person who's in that fawn energy and the bully and others around them be safer. It doesn't resolve the situation, but it deals with it in that moment. Because what would happen if they went in with a fight energy also? Great conflict. That can be a huge fallout between that person and that person, but also groups of people. And this is where you see it between nations. One who is in a bullying energy and then one responding with that fight energy. You could also even call it bullying, and then coming together and there's conflict, war. So that may not be effective. It's like the red flag to the bull. They rise up to the challenge. Now, let's turn the tables around. What if the person who is in that fawn response is chronically in that fawn response to that person who is the bully, who is in that engaging in that bullying behavior and harassing behavior, and they become more and more submissive? They give more and more of their power away. reclaim their power, it is standing up to them. However, that can create physical threat and danger. So this is something that, in terms of what we would recommend, not, I don't say well, not frequently, the circumstances would have to be very specific. So the other way to deal with that is by ignoring it. Show that you're unaffected by it. Now again, this gets tricky. Because are you being unaffected by it? In most cases, you are being affected by it. But what happens is that if you react to every little thing that they are doing that is bullying and harassing, it creates hooks. And so you become engaged in this energetic dance that you are now hooked into, and they are most likely to target you in that bullying and harassing behavior. Whereas if you start to ignore it, it starts to loosen those hooks, because their effects they're wanting to see arise in you. In other words, to have you react. And when you no longer react, it becomes boring. Some people call this the grey rock method. Be like the grey rock. When you like the grey rock, it's like you respond like a grey rock, like you're just there, there's nothing comes off, there's no reaction, outward reaction. And so that becomes boring to those who are engaging in the bullying, harassing behavior. And so they'll move on.
It worked for me. I'm just thinking back when you said that, I went, yep, I remember my brother, like not bullying, but my brother just being a brother and harassing me constantly. And I would respond and I would bite back.
Yes.
And went on till I think I was nearly 15, like a big chunk of my life, till I realised one day I just ignored him and it stopped instantly. I only had to ignore him once.
There you go.
And he just stopped doing it. He was a few years younger than me.
Yes.
And he just stopped doing it and I didn't get a reaction.
Yes.
That became boring for him.
Yes.
But that's on a mild version. That's like just brother, sister.
Of course. But it's a useful example. Yes. Now, there are going to be many situations where there are differentials in that human power where it's difficult to engage in any of these responses. And difficult, and we would say it's difficult to choose just one strategy. It may be a combination according to the different circumstances that you are in. So say this is a workplace environment or school environment. Say that it's your boss who's engaging in the bullying and harassing behavior. It's a very different response to how you would go as to whether it's your peer, like at school. There are others who have that human power that you could go to, for example, the teachers. Yet even then, it depends on the circumstances and the responses of those teachers in that school environment. So just like in your work environment, the response of HR and everything around you. So you're going to have to know your circumstances. So we've presented a number of different responses, we would say, that are basically about shifting the energy from the dynamic that you are caught into when you are engaged with someone who bullies and harasses. Ultimately, what you're wanting to do is help shift the energy and dissolve it entirely. So we're going to go back to the question, the original question, to dissolve the energy. Now, if you are the one experiencing the bullying and harassing energy, it's going to be very different to the one who's actually engaging in that bullying and harassing behavior. If you are the one experiencing that energy, in other words, experiencing the bullying and harassing behavior from another, then this is where prayer can come into play. This is where you can call on divine protection. This is where you can call on divine love and that pink ray and send love to them and to the circumstances and the places that you will deal with them. So if it's at work, into your workplace, into school, into the school environment, or wherever you may meet them, if it's in the home and family, if you're going to a family gathering, sending out love first. Now, we're going to preface that and say, only if this is safe. Only if this is safe. Do not engage with the bully if it is unsafe for you. This is where other, perhaps legal avenues need to be explored. Yet, energetic ways of managing yourself and the other is still useful, even in these circumstances, even when legal consequences are necessary to ensure your safety and to stop that bullying and harassing behavior. Because it may be those legal avenues that is the process through which you reclaim your personal power by standing up.
And I'm also thinking about, I was severely bullied through school,
Yes.
high school, probably, all of high school from different areas, because I was that little bit different.
Yes.
That made that, and I was the people pleaser back then. And I was targeted by a girl in my year, but she wasn't particularly active as a bully unless the girl in the older year was around.
Yes.
So it was almost like her bullying was perpetuated by wanting to make the older bully
Yes.
To be seen by the older bully,
Yes.
sort of to be included.
Yes.
And it went on. And in my day, like I'm talking early 80s,
yes,
you could go to your school
yes,
leaders, you could go to your parents, and they were all like, just suck it up, or
yes,
you deal with it. And like,
yes.
I did not have the tools
No.
as a teenage girl to deal with it. But I did do that. I probably did all of those practices where
Yes.
if I knew that other girl was at school, the older one, I avoided going into certain areas of the school
Yes.
on my own, and even if I was with other people, it didn't matter. I still got attacked.
Yes.
And it wasn't till after, I think, about a year and a half of being harassed that I finally thought, I have had enough.
Yes.
And I chose a time when the bully of my age was on her own and didn't have
Yes.
the backup of the older one, and I dealt with it there
Yes.
and then.
Yes.
In front of the whole school.
Yes.
So the whole school saw me, and I was like, tripped her over and put my foot on her chest. So I look back and I think, oh my God.
Yes.
But I just put my foot on her chest and said, stay away from me. I don't want you in my space, and
Yes.
sort of like that. And I'm just thinking now, I thought, wow, it would have been easy to just send love. But in that time, like, the bullying stopped.
Yes.
And actually ran into the lady that was the older one only
Yes.
a couple of years ago, and she come up and was so excited to see me, and I was really confused. So I was still carrying the
Yes.
wounds.
Yes.
And unbeknown to me, till I saw her and I went, oh my God, that's that girl that picked on me, constantly. And in the end, I had to tell her. I just said, look, because she's moved into the spiritual world as well. And I'm thinking, so I have to share this with you. And she had no recollection of it.
Right.
She had no memory of it at all. And she said, oh, I must have thought that the other girl was getting picked on. That's why I was backing her. Right. And I went, no, she was picking on me.
Yes.
So we had a healing between us in that moment. She was horrified that she'd engaged in that behavior herself, but I thought it was very interesting that she had no memory of it. She was the most feared girl in school for her reaction. So I since now know to pave the way forward with my rose quartz ripples to whoever might cross my path with any sort of aggressive tendencies.
Yes.
So I used all those different types of evasion, staying quiet, trying to pretend I couldn't hear, all those different techniques, but it just kept going on and on and on. It wasn't until I stood up for myself and that I got that separation from that energy.
That was your attempt at claiming your personal power at the level of consciousness and maturity that you were at. And it was very effective.
Yeah.
So that ties in exactly to the example that we said. Sometimes when you are constantly engaging in the pattern that is related to the people pleasing, that standing up may change that, that pattern. So that does relate and connect to that. So the sending love, we are also, let us say, realistic. Firstly, you have to fill up on that love for yourself. And you may be very depleted. And all you can do is fill yourself up with love before you can send that love anyway. So this is where you may call upon any of us, the divine, to support you in filling up in love, and also to support you that we may send our love. If you do not have the love within you to send, do not send it. Call upon us to do it for you. Call upon us to do it for you. This is similar to forgiveness. If you cannot forgive, you do not have to, dear ones. Do not feel that this is necessary when you are incapable at that time of doing it, when you are still hurting. Call upon us to forgive the other. And that creates a shift in the energy between you two. So no circumstances. What you are doing is trying to shift the energy. And then it is up to the person who is bullying and harassing to receive the energy. It is according to their free will. Now, of course, you've heard the saying, hurt people hurt people. We are not saying this to excuse behavior, merely to understand it.
Yeah.
It's about understanding why rather than excusing. The bully who is not accountable or not held accountable for their actions will continue in their bullying behavior. They will learn that it is okay to continue this pattern of behavior. So how do you dissolve the bullying and harassing energy? Ultimately is for those who engage in bullying and harassing behavior to be held accountable. There must be responsibility for their actions and their behavior. In many cases, and I would say in most, they must make amends for the damage their behavior has caused. And what they must do ultimately, this is where it's linked, is they must also claim their personal power. Now, this is going to seem paradoxical because isn't that an abuse of power? But they're using physical or verbal, emotional or relational aggression to express their power that they do not feel they have. They're engaging in those behaviors so they may feel powerful, or so they may find their place within the human echelons of power. So the one who was bullying you was trying to find her place within the school hierarchy of power dynamics by doing that. And that's why it was more prevalent when the other girl was around. It was her way of establishing safety and power for herself. Maladaptive, certainly. But it was her attempt to solve a problem for herself, unfortunately creating more problems for you.
It's the same for the older girl too. Like when we had a good chat, and then and she told me a bit about her life in that time frame, and I totally understood then why she was reacting to life in the way she was.
Yes.
She was claiming her own power in a way, yeah.
If you trying to,
yeah.
But that's not claiming power.
Mm.
Ultimately, it's not. When you understand that people's experiences of the world, and we are going all the way back into infancy, for that is when you shape your fundamental beliefs about the world according to how your caregivers respond to you. Usually the mother, but also the father or any other caregiver. If they are consistent, responsive, nurturing, loving responses, then they will develop a framework and being able to understand the world and see the world as a loving and safe place. Those who do receive inconsistent responses, unloving responses, even threatening responses, or sometimes even no responses at all, they're going to perceive the world as unloving and perhaps even dangerous. Certainly that they need to fend for themselves. And for that infant who has the least of all human power, they are in a state of the greatest threat. This is a powerful fundamental belief and program, and it is deeply unconscious because it is wired into the very structures of your brain, into the lower parts of that brain, not in the thinking brain that is easy to change. It is not with your thoughts that you can change this. Thoughts are in the cognitive part of the brain. We're talking about the deeper subcortical structures of the brain, into the brainstem and into the limbic areas of the brain itself. So this is where you must understand that those who engage in that bullying and harassing behavior have not received the responses, the loving responses that they needed to develop a worldview that is safe and loving, so that therefore they can be safe and loving in that world also. So ultimately, how can you as a human species dissolve bullying and harassing behavior? Look to how you care for your children. Look to how you care for young infants. Do you leave them to cry it out, or do you respond to them? Do you hold them and rock them? Are you physically there for them? For an infant, love is physical care. That is love. It is through your behavior, not through your intentions. You may send them love from another room while the infant is crying. The infant's not going to receive that love. It is only through that co-regulation of your behavior, of your love expressed through your behavior, that is going to wire that baby into the understanding that the world is a safe and loving place. And here you are creating a new earth into the consciousness of love. Where is this most fundamental shift needing to occur? In the way you care for your children. And this is where systems and structures are important. If a mother is forced back into work 2 weeks after she has given birth to a baby because of her employment laws, is this necessary, or let us say, is this sufficient to create a loving and safe environment for that child? No. The child will experience abandonment. And so it is not to say that others cannot care for that child. What you must understand, and we are not blaming that mother, this is something that we must be clear on. We are looking to the broader structures and how your societies are structured. You are meant to live in communities, in tribes, where each are supportive of each other, where you may love and support each other, where collaboration with each other is rewarded because it supports everyone within that community. It is not about the singular I and the separate self. It is how the separate self can be contained and welcomed and held within the broader community. When you are in community, each supports the other and holds everyone else accountable for their behaviors too. There is no blind eye turned. You cannot ignore something that is in front of you. So this is where love also stands up to those who engage in the bullying and harassing behavior. So if you are not safe in dealing with those who engage in the bullying and harassing behavior, but there are others who stand up for you and with you, that power comes through from love. It is their loving behavior that shows you that love protects as well as it nurtures. And you may see this in any mammal in the world. The lioness, for example, if her cubs are threatened, what does she do? She protects those cubs at all costs. And that is her expression of love. So ultimately, we have gone back and forth from the chicken and the egg to look at the cycles of patterns and behaviors in terms of those who bully and those who experience the bullying. And for those who engaged in those behaviors of bullying and harassing behavior, there must be a metamorphosis from within. And they must redeem themselves. And that redemption is not condemnation or even self-condemnation. That is not the purpose at all. It is about being compassionate to themselves as well as others. It does not mean that there will not be consequences to their behavior, for they still must be accountable, but it's not about condemnation. Because those who aggrandize themselves to have an inflated, what you would call ego or separate self, are often the ones who have been shamed in the first place. And their intolerance of that shame has meant that they must inflate themselves to feel better than others. This is where they must create a power over others, inflate themselves over others at the expense of others. So notice it's not love that is doing this. So we've given you a complex and nuanced response to this question. And we've given you specific examples as well as the broader picture when it comes to bullying and harassing behavior, and hopefully giving you some ideas for strategies for you to move into, so that you're inspired by, so that you can choose for yourself what is you standing in your personal power, what is safe for you to do, and what is best for everyone concerned in being able to whether deal or dissolve the bullying and harassing behavior.
Yeah, thank you. And I think it's going to be something that I'll replay a few times to just completely pick up everything that was just shared with us. That was a lot of information and energy. So yes, thank you.
What we will say is that this is why there may be disagreements in perspectives in how to deal with bullying and harassing energy, because there is no one size fits all. It depends on the external as well as the internal resources one may have.
Yeah, definitely.
And the circumstances at the time. Yes.
And communication, everything comes down to communication styles, and
there is a lot going on. There's a lot going on. So anyone who is experiencing bullying and harassing energy, you may call upon us. Remember, call on us, the keepers of the keys. We may come to your assistance. We are here for you. And we may assist you in being guided to the best avenue for you in each moment and overall.
So appreciated. And all we have to do is to remember to ask.
Yes. Yes. Now, what we will say is this is a perfect time to allow us to step back and allow Archangel Metatron to come in. So we will say not goodbye, but we'll be waiting in the wings. Pun intended. So how was that?
Yeah, that was a lot of information there.
Yes.
And for me, it was really healing.
Good.
To acknowledge a lot of the things that have been going on in my life, whether it's back from that childhood trauma or recent events. So that was
good.
Really great. And it'd be interesting to see how Metatron and Lady Nada build on that basis that the keepers have laid.
Yeah, look, let's see what comes through, and they may take us in a completely different direction. You know, they'll certainly bring through their own perspectives. So as we mentioned at the beginning, Archangel Metatron is connected to the diamond ray of light. He's a beautiful and powerful archangel to connect with. He was said to be the prophet Enoch. That Archangel Metatron and Sandalphon, they were the only humans to have become archangels. So one was Enoch and the other was the prophet Elijah, and that they ascended and became the archangels, and they are often described as twin archangels. And in working with them, I have felt them as having a twinned energy. It's like one brings the heaven, one brings the earth in a very like beautiful way. So I'm excited and honored to be channeling Archangel Metatron, as it's my first time. There's always an energetic adjustment as we go through the channeling process. I can already feel that in my throat. So Yeah, I'm going to take a sip of water and then I'll bring him through.
Wonderful. Funny enough, I'm feeling it in my throat too now you've said that.
Interesting. Or maybe just feeling me.
Yeah, I'd say it's you, yeah.
Yes, yeah. Okay.
Hello and welcome.
Welcome to you, dear one. And welcome to all who are here. The energy, that is to say my energy, is interfacing with Vicky's and it is moving through her body. And it is being anchored, as Vicky calls him, my twin, my Archangel Sandalphon. And you will meet him next time. And you will see how we work together.
I already, when talking to keepers, knew that Sandalphon would be definitely one of our next guests.
Yes.
Call you.
Yes.
But I also wanted to point out, Vicky was just saying that the history talks of you both being in human form. And I also find it interesting that we don't quite often reference you as Archangel Metatron. You're just Metatron. So I often think if that links back to that human connection where we haven't put that archangel, the need to put the archangel in front of the name when addressing you.
Know that labels are for your benefit, not ours. It is part of your process of delineating or differentiating between one energy and another. Is it my name, Archangel? No, my name is Metatron. The name Archangel Metatron is more for your own benefit to be able to differentiate or define who I am. And shall I say that while I have had human experiences, I have not gone through the whole karmic wheel as you have and are going through, and as ascended masters have gone. So this is the difference between me and an ascended master.
Okay.
Is that we are and always were angelic beings choosing to have human experiences for the purposes of bringing wisdom teachings to the earth. And then when our work was done, we're able to reascend back into the angelic realms.
There's so much to all of our existence, isn't there? And that you don't even think of it till you know of it.
Yes.
And for me particularly, I've probably experienced more of, in this lifetime, more work with you through Amanda Ellis's work online. And I sort of tend to pick up a bit of a sense of humour in that work. So I was really excited when Vicky had said you were coming through to talk with us today. So thank you for coming through.
I nominated to come through. It was my time, so to speak.
Yeah. Well, I'm very pleased with that. So how would you like to roll today? Would you like to consider that you've come through? Where would you like to start, or what would you like to bring to everyone watching in this moment?
Let me begin by picking up on the energetic theme of personal power and bring through my perspective on this topic. Now, I can present, of course, different strategies and resources, having different ones myself. For those who know me, know to work with my Merkaba, what some call Metatron's cube. But you know, as you see, if you've seen it, that it's not a cube at all, but shaped, filled with all forms of sacred geometry, triangles, circles, ultimately overlaid within the Merkaba itself. Now, this is a process for cleansing your energy and purifying it, and is a common way in people connecting with my energy and doing energy work. Now, what I will say, you can also do this and bring this into a space. You may also bring this into the energetic space between you and another. Now, notice I am not saying that you send that to the other, because I will not do that unless they call upon that and are ready and willing to receive that according to their free will. But if anyone is in relationship to you, which all are, since you're all connected, you may ask me, call upon me to place my Merkaba within the energetic space between you and the other, so that we can together purify this energy. And think of it as an energetic dam. You cannot bring the energy of the other if it is not of love, because it is going through the ultimate purification process before it can get to you. So any bullying and harassing energy must dissipate. Otherwise, there will be, let us say, obvious and powerful consequences. This can be the ultimate circuit breaker. Let me say, do this when you're ready for this, for things will be brought to the surface when you do this. So that you must take action from your perspective around this. So you must be ready for that.
Thank you. Yeah, I can see the benefits for both parties in this as well.
Yes. So when it comes to personal power, let me connect into your solar plexus, from there into your heart, from there into your throat, from there into your third eye and crown, and from there into the upper chakras, and go all the way up into the stellar gateway, and then from thence into the higher self. You may think of me in some ways as a conduit into the divine, into the higher self. In all things, call upon your higher self to come through. And this is another way to call upon the power of you. This is not just then the separate self, but the divine self. The divine self is, of course, full of divine power. And when the divine self is full of divine power and is able to transmit this through your bodies, there is a necessary energy shift within you. Now, what may occur is that the energy gets through the heart and then stops at the solar plexus because it is not open enough to receive it fully.
Mm.
And so this is where energy work can begin. To open the conduit between the solar plexus and the heart. So this may become a more embodied process. And then we may bring in the Merkaba to cleanse and activate your solar plexus. And I'm doing this now, Vicky. And if you wish to receive this energy, you may call upon it for yourself also. And that begins to move and shift energy. Has always been one of the chakras that has been least able to always be fully open and active within Vicky. She has closed or is closing the gap, shall we say.
Mm-hmm.
There is always more to be done. And interesting, she feels more comfortable in her body when that is open. What occurs when you are either chronically stressed or have experienced trauma in your past, whether chronic or acute trauma? Your energy rises up, gets into the mind, and is uncomfortable in the body. The breath cannot flow into the lower half of the body. You end up with digestive disorders and other difficulties. For through the solar plexus runs the vagus nerve. And of course, the diaphragm. So the breath is very connected and related to this process. So allowing this to move through helps the passageways from the lungs and the breath into the body. Now, if you can imagine, if you're operating only from up here, instead of in here, in your solar plexus and in your heart and in your gut, are you fully connected to your personal power? You're not. You are then also missing gut signals. In other words, bodily intuition, where you're not fully connected into the lower half of your body. Again, this is not to blame, but to bring awareness to. Well, how can we blame when these have been your experiences that have led you to this state? So, from my perspective, connecting to your personal power is more than just the solar plexus, although that is a part of it. It is also connecting into your higher power, your divine self, and bringing it into your bodies. Now, you may say, and you would be correct, that this is part and parcel of the whole healing and spiritual journey. To be able to open up to receive more of your higher self, this is ultimately what you are doing. So yes, that is true, dear ones. So this is, in some instances, giving you the connection into the solar plexus. In other instances, giving you the outcome of where you will get to over time. But regardless of how much you can connect into your higher self in your bodies, you may still call upon them. Think of them as your personal angels who may guide and protect you. Mm. And certainly another way, another process is you may ask them to fold you may see them as wings of light around you and shield you from harm.
And I have done that process of bringing the wings around for multiple reasons. And it's always made me feel so much more safe, secure, loved.
Yes, yes.
Especially emphasis on safe.
Safe, yes. Safety is a big one and a big topic. For how can you have your personal power if you are not safe? Safety is necessary. Now, the issue of safety is a big one, and this takes us into another topic, but we must bring this up, that if you are unsafe, then how do you call upon your personal power? This is where, dear ones, I would encourage you and invite you to call upon all of us to support you, even as you take human actions to ensure and assure your safety. And this is where, dear ones, you may support your brothers and sisters by keeping each other safe and supporting each other, for there is safety in numbers. So this is where we come back to community, and there may be not just physical safety issues, but emotional safety, relational safety. And what we mean collectively, we mean by relational safety is safety in relationships. So that includes not just physical safety, but emotionally, mentally, and verbally. The biggest travesty on the planet is infants being born into this world that are not wired into love because of a misunderstanding of what love is, what love does, and a disrespecting of your human biology.
Yeah.
And there must be a discussion of your human biology here and understanding your personal power. For you are here to be in physical bodies. Now, in being in physical bodies, you're going to have your biological responses to threats and anything that makes you unsafe or makes you feel unsafe. And your responses, as the keepers outlined, is going to be very different according to how you respond to threats, whether physical, verbal, emotional, relational. And so therefore, how you deal with any issue, including bullying or any threat to your safety, is going to be dependent upon your biology and the resources, both internal and external, that you may have. So while this is an important topic, I'm happy to take one further question on this, and then I wish to move this topic into a new one so that I can bring through what I wish to bring through, my purpose in bringing through, in coming through here today.
Thank you. I just was just thinking when you were talking about as babies, how we start there with creating our safety systems and,
yes,
and that sort of thing. And it's just really interesting. It's probably not a question, but more a comment that I've got. Yes. Is interesting how as human beings, quite often those first few years are dismissed as that's just the years where the kids learn to walk and talk. Mm-hmm. And that this whole experience of life on earth and how we react to it is actually embedded from before they're born.
Yes.
They're being carried as well.
Yes.
So those safety systems, as how we react to the world and all
yes.
those are in place so early. It's still able for us to shift those, though, through life and life experience.
Some yes, some no.
Yeah.
And I'll explain that. Now, people dismiss these early years because they do not remember them. Mm. And so therefore dismiss the influence that they've had upon them because they cannot see it. This is the definition of the unconscious, dear ones. Mm. Mm. By very definition. And yet there is abundance of evidence that will tell you that even a trauma that the mother experiences while pregnant with you will affect you across your lifetime. Now, it is not to say that this cannot be mitigated or improved upon, but if you understand this, in utero is forming the very basis of your brain, the brain stem. Mm. It is like the foundation of your brain. The foundation is being laid while in utero. And so anything that affects the brain stem is like affecting the foundation of a house. Then in the first year, you're building the walls and the doors, the external structure. So, and let me say that first year is critical to creating that external structure. Now, what happens if the foundation is shaky? Mm. The walls and the doors, the framework is going to be shaky also. So even if you have good and loving experiences where you have that shaky foundation, there's going to be some shakiness in the walls. Then as you go up, you complete more and more of this house. And by 4 to 5 years of age, you've completed your house. By 4 years of age, the brain is almost adult size. Yet what happens, and then you get a reprieve between 5 and say 9, possibly 10. Then you come into that pre-adolescent stage. And what happens is the brain undergoes remodeling. Mm. So it's like knocking down walls in the internal parts of the brain, like the rooms of the house, if you want to think of it as that way, knocking them down to rebuild them. You're remodeling the brain. Mm-hmm. And then the final touches are not put upon the brain into the mid-20s and up to 28 to 30 for some. Usually men. those in male bodies. Now, that shaky foundation can affect all the way through. Can there be enough changes that ultimately that can be mitigated? Yes. But most of these experiences will shape you nonetheless. You can transmute them so that they become positive influences in your life, but you cannot be unaffected by them. Mm-hmm. It's not the same as someone who has received the right nurturing and the right environment, including a lack of acute and chronic stress within the mother. And we are not blaming mothers. It is a direct response to her environment and the broader societal structures and the lack of connection and community around her and the dismissing of what she's doing and the importance of it, so that she's not receiving the loving, nurturing care that she requires. That is a symptom of that acute or chronic stress. So when you understand that all of these influences are powerful, and there have been shown that these influences not only continue into your lifetime, but some of these changes epigenetically can be passed on, therefore, onto your children. Mm-hmm. So it is like not understanding an invisible influence and denying that it is there because you cannot see it. You cannot know it if it is the unconscious. You cannot be the infant again and experience what the infant experienced. You cannot understand how your brain has been shaped and structured, because by the very structure and shape of your brain, you're going to experience your experiences and filter your knowledge through. So your filters are already applying. You cannot see your filters. Mm. So the greatest fundamental shift into the consciousness of love is raising children up to be seen, to be heard, to be loved, to be understood. For they are most misunderstood. Many people cannot even remember their childhood, so how can they connect to a child in a way that is doing it from an empathetic, understanding response when they cannot even remember being a child themselves? Mm. And so therefore, how are they going to understand how their experiences shape them as adults? This is, dear ones, the most powerful and the biggest journeys that you will have in connecting to how you were raised as a child, what environment you experience, and not just mother, father. Because mother, father were influenced by their parents and their parents' parents and so on and so forth. So ancestrally, but also by the social structures of the day. What stresses did they have? What pressures? What unconscious programming? What roles were they told to play? What were they told they should do as a loving parent that was actually the opposite of love? How many parents are advised to not pick up their baby? To leave their baby cry? To not spoil the baby? You cannot spoil a baby. how you can spoil children as they grow older is by not giving them consequences to their behavior. And let me reframe the giving, because people think that you must apply a consequence. So you do this, you will not receive pocket money. That is an artificial consequence. What I am referring to is a natural consequence. You make a mess, you clean it up. That's your mess. You must take responsibility for your mess. And of course, according to their developmental capacities. Now, a child who only hears yes and never any no's, that is spoiling them. That does not mean, however, that they don't always have access to love. In other words, their behavior should never influence the loving attention you give them. And this is another fallacy within parenting, that when they're having a tantrum, for example, you must ignore their behavior. Because otherwise you're rewarding that behavior. No, the child is learning that their feelings are not safe and that they are not accepted as they are, even when they cannot regulate themselves. The raising of children is a big topic, and yet it is a necessary one. And I raise it here so that you can understand yourselves. It is why inner child work is so powerful and so necessary.
I just did last year, Vicky ran an inner child workshop series that we did last year. Actually, I think she's just kicking them off again now.
Yep,
and
tomorrow.
That was probably, the most
on
powerful.
Saturday. Yes.
Oh, it is this weekend.
Yes, this weekend. Yes.
Yeah, go. It's was probably the most powerful work I think I've ever done.
Yes.
And I am one that doesn't have very many childhood memories.
Yes.
I have a few powerful ones. But to go and do that exploration work and uncover things is, I feel that it's improved my life beyond. I can't even comment how many changes that made for me and how many realizations I had. And it actually changed the way that I parent as well.
Interesting.
Yeah. So to look at your own, to start investigating that inner child in those younger years was so valuable to me.
Yes.
And that I'm passing that on as well with my kids. And
yes.
Yeah. And hopefully that will then, through ancestry
to their kids
continue to do that.
Yes. Yes. It is the most powerful journey that you can take. And I say that deliberately because it is really delving into the depths of your psyche, what some would call shadow work, moving into the depths of your shadow. And this is why now is a perfect time to do it. As you're moving through Scorpio season and you're moving through this portal of transformation, this is the time to be connecting to your inner child, to look at and review how your children are being raised, and look at how mothers, fathers are being supported in the raising of their children. But certainly the burden unduly falls upon the mother most commonly in terms of what we see collectively around the world. And so where the mother is unsupported, the child is unsupported.
And I think doing that inner child work too, it's not just about changing your own perception of your childhood and helping your children. It's actually completely changed my outlook on different aspects within my own life that's improved my day-to-day life now.
Good. because it is a journey to reconnect you to yourself. So you can be aware of what is part of your true nature, what is your true self, and what are the adaptations that you've had to make to keep yourself safe or to get your needs met.
Yeah, and what
so that you could feel loved. Yes, in some cases. And therefore, this journey then supports you to reparent yourself and be that loving, compassionate guide to yourself through your life. So that you can change into new patterns and awaken into the consciousness of love. And let me say that inner child work is going to necessarily be part and parcel of ancestral healing. It is going to connect into that energy, but it is specific to the inner child process so that you can connect to the child within. So that is mostly what I wanted to bring through, but I'll bring through my final message. And there is so much more, of course, dear ones. You may call upon, of course, as I said, my Merkaba for your energetic processes. You may even in your envisioning, in your meditations, place the earth within it as I'm doing now. You may include yourselves in that if you wish. And as that occurs, know that each and every one of you are helping to birth a new earth, are helping to anchor the consciousness of love. And how do you anchor that? You anchor that into yourselves and yourselves into Gaia. So yes, you may do grid work with Gaia, but the most powerful is when you do it within yourselves and anchor yourselves into Gaia. For then you'll be more effective if you do choose to do your grid work. For too long, the human race has acted upon old patterns, and you still see this in your, what you call your modern lives. Those who bully and harass others are doing so on a global stage. Nations against nations, governments against their own people. Sometimes parents against their own children. Sometimes peers against other peers. Now, wherever you may see it, this is, as you may understand it, playing out of an old energy. And to shift out of this old energy, you must be, as you said, be the lighthouse. Bring the light into your bodies. Make your light so powerful that none could harm you. And there's so much more subtlety to what I can express here and now. For being able to bring more light into your bodies, you must heal and release and love back into the light, the shadow. You may think of yourselves like the archaeological dig. Digging through the archaeology of all your experiences that have been imprinted into your bodies, where you hold the cellular memories of them. And you can go like the archaeologist, curious about what they may find. And seeing the artifacts with curiosity, not for opportunities to condemn or blame, but as opportunities to bring back to the light, to bring through and love back into wholeness. And you see this occurring globally and collectively. As within, so without. It is a dual process. As you deal with this internally within yourselves, you're also dealing with this externally in your external worlds. But the more you deal with it internally, the more you will see the change externally. So the journey is both and, the personal one and the collective one. There must be collective responsibility for the world, and each must do their part. And it is within your divine blueprints to know what it is for you to do. And each will have their own unique perspectives and their own unique ways to support this collectively as well as personally. So this is the grander piece of my message that I came here to bring through. There must be a shift. The shift is now. You must accept and allow the shift within you at this time. Take advantage of this time, not just now within this portal of transformation, not just now within the Scorpio season, not just now between the two eclipses, but in the eternal moment of now, and each moment. What is yours to do? What are you called into being? What are you being called to release? And what are you being called to move into? And how can you claim your personal power? By connecting into the power that is. And the power that is within all of you. And you may call upon this power and ask it to affect change within all. Pray and ask for miracles. So there is a consciousness shift into love between all of you. Send that love out. And if you cannot, call upon us too. For your prayers and asking will amplify what is able to be received. It is not that we are doing it sometimes and not others. We are always loving, but your asking amplifies the energy because it amplifies the allowing.
Thank you. That makes so much more sense in the reason for the asking.
Yes.
Yep, that mirror.
Yes, it is all the mirror. So I will thank each and every one of you in this eternal moment of now for receiving this message, receiving this energy, for being able to receive what sometimes can be difficult truths. But with truth comes light and comes love and comes wisdom. A more comfortable lie does not bring any of these. So allow me to bring through the diamond ray of light through every one of you. So you may reflect and refract all the colors of the rainbow to all your chakras, into your energetic bodies. Where you most require it in your best and highest good. And I do this also for the planet. For Gaia. And my brother, Sandalphon, anchors this into the earth. I'm pleased and thankful for this opportunity. Until we meet again. So it is.
From my heart to yours, thank you so much.
The energy's still moving strongly.
I was doing a lot of work on your throat. Was different this time. I was doing the blue like I would, but it kept going splitting into rainbow. Okay, well, I'll go with that then.
I think we know who that is.
Yeah.
There you go. I like that. Yeah. All right. His energy's dissipated.
Okay, we're going to be having a long session today.
All right, we're ready?
We are ready. Yes, I'm ready if you're ready.
Yeah, okay. Let's bring through Lady Nada.
I'm going to shake it out.
Hello, dear ones.
Hello and welcome, Lady Nada.
Yes.
Let's give Vicky a moment for you two to intertwine.
Yes.
So to speak, but welcome. I've worn my roses in honor of you today, so we're very pleased to have you here with us.
Thank you.
And that beautiful color of pink. So thank you for standing up and taking your turn, so to speak, this moment.
Yes, I shall say Vicky was surprised because my energy is not one so personally connected with her. And so at first couldn't identify my energy in a singular way. And then, of course, was able to. And I am pleased to be here in this context and in this broader space in connecting with all of you in this eternal moment of now, as I bring through what I am here to do, my message and my energy. And as you are already aware, and bringing through the consciousness of love, but that pink ray of light and of love, rose frequencies, the wisdom that has been born out of my own human experiences, and how I continue to support you all on a planetary level. So I am pleased to be here and pleased to bring through a more uplifting energy, a softer, more feminine energy, so that you can relax into, feel safe in, feel embraced in, and feel nurtured by. Just as the infant would in her mother's arms. Smelling her mother, feeling her mother, seeing her mother, hearing her mother, and even tasting her mother.
Well, I can honestly say I feel that connection, and I feel that I've definitely connected with you somehow, somewhere, in some way before.
Yes.
Yes.
Our paths have crossed.
Yes, I think so. Very much so. So thank you for coming through today in this way.
Yes.
It's such a gift to be able to talk to you and to everyone that comes through in this open format, and it's so rich and rewarding. So thank you.
You're most welcome, dear ones. I'm pleased to come through and have this opportunity to do so.
So would you like to tell us a bit about why you're here, or whatever it is that you would like to share with us?
There are a number of reasons. Some are multifaceted and multidimensional. So tap into my energy to receive the multidimensional aspects of what I am bringing through. So you may become familiar with my energy and attune to it. For many of you, you are connected to me as Lady Nada. For others, connected to me as Mary Magdalene. But here I am expressing as Lady Nada in my fullness, in the fullness of my energy. And know that I have never left. I am here. You may say it as an expression of the Divine Mother energies. But the Divine Mother is one aspect of the Creator. The Creator is both Divine Mother and Divine Father, with the alchemical third of both together. So it is that and more. So you may see me as an expression of that Divine Mother energy, bringing through the Mother energy and the energy of love. So here I am bringing through the softer expression of the Mother energy, the mother that nurtures, that loves, that is unconditionally accepting, is not just compassionate, dear ones. For compassion in some ways denotes that there is something to be compassionate about. There is just something that is held in a sacred vessel of pure, unconditional love. And let me even say that those adjectives are not even necessary if you understand truly what love is. Love is pure. It is unconditional. Anything else is not love. It is in some cases, an abomination of love. Certainly many a distortion of love. Or in other cases, a misrepresentation of love, a misunderstanding of it. So rare is the human being who has not experienced some wounding in relation to unloving experiences. Rare is the human being. So here I am, here to love you, back into wholeness, oneness, back into love. So you know what true love is? Know that this energy can be, and you may feel it as I transmit it now, strong and powerful. It is not, by definition, soft and gentle, though it can be. You may see this as a spectrum of energy, depending on what you require. Do you require softness and gentleness, or do you require power and strength? And you may see this in the expression of the mother energy. Is she coming through as the protectress, or is she coming through as the nurturer? I am most comfortable in the nurturing energy. This is the natural expression of me. Have I needed to be strong, as you would define it? Absolutely. And can my energy come through what you may even describe as forcefully? Not as in forceful, they are enforcing you, but strongly and powerfully. What you receive is according to your free will. So it be. Let us return to the softer, gentler energy, so that you know that this also is powerful. That gentleness is also strength. That nurturing is not only kindness, but love. And when you connect into your solar plexus, dear ones, you may feel them now. If you wish to receive that energy as I'm transmitting it now, you can ask for your solar plexus to be returned to love. And here you may receive a blending of the love energy within your solar plexus, the pink ray into the yellow. So shame may be dissipated, transmuted, and released through the energy of love. So the separate self can remember itself as love. So that you may be confident again in the energy of love. So you may define yourself as love. So that your boundaries are not walls, but guidance as to how to have a relationship with another. Now, we may even say that these are the necessary conditions to have a relationship with another. This is not conditional love. We're providing the conditions to support the flowing of love, so that you have your needs met and the other may have their needs met, if you're wishing an interpersonal relationship. On one level, as you're connected to all, you are in relationship to everyone, but you will define those as closer for some and from a greater distance from others. And you may even call them impersonal, because they are not in proximity. Now, that being said, you may still connect with anyone across the world, as you are doing here, as we are doing here, wherever you may physically be. And in that sense, there is no time and space. It is all in this eternal moment of now, in this energy contained here and now. As the energy continues to move through your solar plexus, see with compassion all that is coming up now. What aspect, what memory is coming up? Coming up to be released in this moment. What awareness, what insight, what message? Where have you been unloving towards yourself, dear ones? Where have you forgotten your power or given your power away, knowing ultimately you may reclaim your power at any time? To be fully supported in having an open heart, you must also have an open solar plexus, so that the energy may flow synergistically and symbiotically between. Know that you cannot separate a chakra from another. They all flow into each other. Again, synergistically and symbiotically when there is energy flow. And you may find in your solar plexus aspects of you hiding, forgotten, or that come out under certain circumstances to either protect you or shield you, or even hide you. We invite these aspects, ones you're ready to bring up into your awareness, to come up and enter into your heart space. And to all be returned to love. So let us enter the temple of your hearts. As I acknowledge Archangel Raphael and the emerald ray as we move through the outer chamber of the temple of your hearts. And we move into the inner chamber with a pink ray of love. As I support this movement into the inner chamber, we will stop there and invite these aspects of your being in. Know that these are aspects or parts of you, not your true self. Remember, your true self is unharmed, unaffected, undamaged by trauma or any unloving experiences. Your true self is. It is these additional aspects that are the result and outcome of these unloving experiences that require the healing. And so ultimately, the healing journey returns you to yourself, to your true self. And then spiritual journey includes an integration with your true self and your divine self. And so allow me to say at this time, that I love you all, including all parts of you. I love to be with you and be called upon. I love all beings, even those who bully and harass and hurt others. So you may call upon me to love them and call on the energy of love to help dissipate and dissolve that bullying and harassment energy. I can be like the mother who holds her tantruming child, who needs to be loved back into themselves, so they may also remember who they really are. And that is love. And I know, dear ones, there are many who will not achieve this remembrance in this lifetime. And for this, they have my compassion. For you, dear ones, on this healing and spiritual path, moving through this journey of awakening, you have my strength. For it is only those brave enough to see their inner wounding who can move into a healed and awakened state. As I call in now, the Council of Light, the Planetary Council of Light, to bless you all, to bless the planet, to bless all aspects of you. To bless you, Kerry, and you, Vicky, and this medium of communication. Support you in your endeavors. And bring healing and love to the world. They're all with us. As much as you're ready for, dear ones. in your best and highest good. As we surround the planet with this energy and surround you. We are pleased that you have been called into this energy and into this transmission. So that you can support the anchoring of this energy, this love, and energy transmission. So you may know all are worthy who call upon me. I do not differentiate between one and another. Now I am a part of you as you are a part of me. Our energies reach across time. So what an honoring it is to meet in this time-space reality, so we may recognize each other again. So from my heart to yours is an ever-continuing flow of pure unconditional love that you may call upon at any time that you wish. And so it is.
Thank you so much. Whoa. That was like coming home.
Yes.
Oh, we've got a dog stuck around a power cord. There we go.
What a beautiful energy to end on.
Oh, from the moment she came in.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm lost. Sorry, I'm lost for words.
Yeah. I'm just waiting for her energy to completely dissipate before I can fully speak, I think. And I'm just going to take a sip of water myself.
And during that healing, wow, I had different people come out of my solar plexus.
Interesting. Yeah. I'm going to have to do that.
Yeah, I'm going to do it again, just that section.
Yes.
Multiple times, I think.
Yeah, I think that's like a powerful healing meditation just within that.
Most definitely. And I was saying to you before we started to record how I was going to ask for a process, and I didn't even ask for a process, and look at this beautiful gift and blessing we
multiple
received.
Processes.
Yeah, from all that have spoken with us.
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm feeling, as her energy is fading, I feel like I'm energetically fading too. So I'm going to bring the keepers through.
Yeah.
It's been a long session.
Sure.
And yeah, so hopefully we can just cap off that energy as the keepers tend to do, and we can close off this session. We are pleased. You are pleased, dear ones.
Very pleased.
Good. We have addressed weighty issues and topics, and we collectively thank you to all who came through. We mean all. the all that came through, to move you into the consciousness of love, even while sharing what Archangel Metatron referred to as sometimes difficult truths, but also moving into the wisdom of your experiences, the beauty of the love that came through. Notice how beauty and love are tied together. For beauty may open your hearts, and that is another way you may open yours. As you connect to beauty in nature, beauty in art, in clothes, in objects, whatever opens your heart to beauty opens your heart to love. So we will come to the end. We have come to the end. We will conclude the energy and the messages flowing through. We will reiterate to all that you may call upon any of us to support you in your processes, in your healing and spiritual journeys, and to move ultimately into the consciousness of love. For the energy coming through is most earnest at this time. It is strong and it is powerful. This light is moving through you, dear ones, and is why many of you are fatigued. Rest your bodies, honor your bodies through this process. More is to come. More is to come. Until our next conversation, not only do we send you our love, but we hold you, each and every one of you, into these frequencies of love, so you may remember it, know it, hold it, and may be your compass, your true north in guiding you forward. From our hearts to yours, we send you much love.
From my heart to all of yours, sending that love.
Well, thank you, my love, for holding the space and asking the questions.
Thank you. It's like Metatron's energy sort of near wiped me out. It was like, yeah, different
Intense.
to what I've experienced before.
Yes, yeah.
And then to switch then into Lady Nada was, yeah, enlivened me back up again. Again, especially because as soon as she came through, and I know you. Yeah. And of course, much love to the keepers who are forever with us on this journey.
Yes, they are.
So thank you. From my heart to yours, thank you.
And for mine, and I want to thank you as well as all of you who have connected into this transmission. Drink lots of water, and perhaps if you need to ground yourselves after this process, given that there was strong energy transmissions which came through each of them, they all did something different. So it feels almost kind of too late to say take this piece by piece as much as you need to, but yes, allow it to unfold also, and as you said, go back to bits that you need to re-listen to or redo the processes of, like, you know, whether it's the healing meditation or to connect into the energy of a Merkaba or what, you know, to re-listen to what you can do with bullying. There's so much.
That's sure. And I already knew when they said that like Metatron connects with Sandalphon, I went, oh, I know who our next guest is. And then you said, yes, it'll be next Friday.
Well, we don't normally have this kind of notice, do we?
No, this was like, okay, so we're going to be doing some grounding work next.
Yes.
I feel. And the importance of the grounding and connecting it all together. Yeah, that's.
Absolutely. So we'll see who our third guest is, because we always have 3. The keepers are always the first. We'll have Archangel Sandalphon, and then we'll see who will be the third for the next. Yeah. And then we'll see what theme, but I think you've already named it.
Yeah. I think that's where we'll see if it changes. But, yeah, I think grounding it will be around.
Anchoring into Gaia.
Anchoring. Yeah.
Anchoring is, what I'm getting.
It'd be nice to bring Gaia back into the conversation more strongly too, because she's going through ascension.
Yes.
Along with us going through ascension. I mean, she's going to keep going through hers no matter what we do.
Well, I think Archangel Sandalphon is the person to have that conversation with, because he's so connected with Gaia.
Yeah, I'm already excited. I just don't know how we're going to wait a month.
Well, we're a bit late on this one, so it may not be a full month. So you and I can set that date.
Yep, sounds perfect. Well, thank you. And much love to everyone.
Yes.
And see you all soon.
See you next time. Bye.